final page, the detail page for a single recipe. I'm just going to move some things out of the way here. Make sure I deselect them. Otherwise, if I create something new, it will be created inside this component. Just going to press the A key. I'm going to select this one first. Press the A key. Add an iPhone 8. And we have a new screen here, so let's rename it to detail. And now we can add the header on top because we want to have a back button there that allows us to move back into the previous page. And while I've just copy pasted it, it just spotted into my mind that I can also create a component out of this header so I can reuse it on all pages. So I'll delete it here and I'll right click the header here, click create component, move it out of the artboard, and I'll copy it and paste it back into the artboard here, align it to the top, and now we have it component inside that overview. Let's do the same for our detail page. And because we want to have a back button there, we need to make another text area here that has the material icon for a back button. So let's go to the material icons website, material.io/icons, and let's look for one with a, let's say, is aiming to the left. So let's search for the keyword left. So we have chevron underscore left. So we'll create that one here. So we'll create it inside the component. So I'm use the text tool, type chevron underscore left. Don't worry about the text spacing right now. And choose the material icons. So now we have a back button. Let's double click on the edges to make it nicely formed. And it's aligned to this text right now. And if you hold the Alt button, you can see the spacing that it has to the sides. So let's say we want the spacing to be similar to what we have on the top. So we need to move it 3 to the left, 1, 2, 3. And now we have 14, 14, and 14. You will see that it appears on the detail page, but it also appears on the overview page. But since we can overrule one single component instance, let's just command click on this one here, press enter to have the text selectable, and then just press backspace or delete to remove the text. Now click outside of it, and now you will see that we are reusing the same component on these two pages, but we have overridden one single setting. Alright, let's move the recipe detail actually in here. So let's take the component that we have here, the top one. We'll use that one for a prototype as well. So we copy it and we paste it into this screen. And now what we're going to do is quite important because we need to keep the naming of all the list entries here in order to create a nice seamless transition later on. So we're just going to keep these names. And what we're going to do, because we're going to slightly change the layout here, because it's not going to be a tile like this, but it's going to be full screen. So we're going to detach this component instance. So we right click and we choose detach instance. Now we can freely change all the aspects of this item. So let's make it a full width one. And you know what? We will move this whole group one layer back. And then we will make the background color of this instance of the header component. We'll make it slightly transparent with a linear gradient. So we'll have the gradient, the transparent side there. Move it slightly down. Let's see here. I think that will do. All right. And then we can also remove the rectangle that we had behind there, but we're not going to actually remove it. Let's just make it invisible. So we'll choose the layer controls and we set it to 0% visibility. And we're going to move this text, this one, this one, this one, and this one, slightly down and slightly to the left. And now let's add the actual recipe like instructions in there. Of course, we're not going to type the entire instructions because I don't know, to be honest, how to make senectus bibendum. So let's just create a new text area by pressing T. Create a text area that is, it can be quite long, doesn't really matter. And then we'll just right click, plugins, lorem ipsum. Oops, we didn't have our text layer properly selected. So we create a new text layer again. We'll just deselect it for now. As you can see, the text layer is removed as soon as it's empty. So we'll put a little bit of text inside, we'll deselect it, and then we can right click plugins and choose lorem ipsum. And we're going to auto generate in order to make it fill the entire sheet. Now what you find is that it still had the font of the last text that we selected. That is of course not what we want. So let's set it to Open Sans, set it to a regular font, and let's tone down the size a little bit. 16, maybe 12. Not sure why the font size is not working now. Sometimes you have to fiddle around a bit in order to make things work. So let's go for 15, and let's also increase the line height a little bit. Sorry, this is the paragraph spacing. The line height to increase legibility. All right, and let's just redo the lorem ipsum generate, and now we have our full recipe text. I think I don't like the gradient after all, so I'm just gonna set it to a solid white in the end. And let's then just move this one slightly down so the coffee cup is properly visible. As you can see, the alignment here is still a bit off, and that is because our list item is still within a frame. So let's reframe this one to have it contain everything, and then let's resize our image to be completely on the edge. All right, so there we have it. We have a very nice splash screen. We have an overview of all the recipes that we have in our app, and then we have a detail page where someone can look up the exact instructions for that recipe. So for the next lessons, we will look into how we make this an interactive prototype, and I'm looking forward to see you there, Beck.